Mike Schein, good morning, my friend. This is the 100 Millionaires Podcast. I'm Walter Murillo, and Mike Schein is my amazing co-host. Mike, what is your slogan?
Yeah, massive income from passive income.
So let me ask, have you already been doing it this morning?
Say that again?
Have you been doing it this morning? I'm checking the stocks. Where's Tesla at, dude? Tesla's down. Oh, my God. It's
Let's see. No, it's up $4.45.
still winning.
Yeah,
Still winning.
but
Still,
it's going sort of. It's an interesting day for Tesla today because their earnings come out after the close of the market today. So
nice. And so this is supposed to be epic for them, right?
yeah, so well, right. Well, a couple of things. First of all, this is not financial advice. It's just stuff that we do, and these are our personal portfolios, and we are not financial planners.
Not even close.
Uh, Call Ryan McDermott if you.
There you go.
But second of all, I've said several times on this podcast that my investment in Tesla is for the long term. So when I say it's an interesting day, I chose that word specifically because things are going to happen today, whether they have a profitable quarter or not, that will probably make the stock swing like crazy. But that's not what I'm in for. I'm in for the next 10 years because in the next 10 years, in my opinion, it's going to be the #1 automaker in the world. So
Right.
they have a very small share, a big share of the electric vehicle market, but we're moving to electric. It saves the planet. We don't have to use fossil fuels as much, and hopefully solar and wind and that kind of stuff. And then, it's less expensive. The cars don't have the maintenance that ICE vehicles, internal combustion engines, all that kind of stuff. So the next 10 years, and the whole commitment of Tesla is to lower the price of their cars, not gouge people. So they're coming out in China with a $20,000 Tesla.
Wow.
And the whole idea is to just have everybody driving Teslas all over the world, and I can get behind that. And
Same here.
but
All right.
today is really exciting because if they show a gap profit, which is GAAP, and that's more your area than mine, but it's general accounting principles.
Yep.
If they show a gap, that'll be 4 quarters in a row. And if they get the 4 quarters in a row, that would mean that they would satisfy the 5 or 6 requirements for inclusion in the S&P 500. And
Which means
that all the exchange traded funds and all the funds that track the S&P 500 would have to buy Tesla stock to rebalance the ETFs. And according to Tesla Daily Podcast, who did a really amazing analysis of this whole thing, there's at least 26 million shares would need to be bought
right.
by these ETFs, and there's not a lot of stocks out. There's not a lot of Tesla out there. I mean, compared to 26 million, that's almost 20% of the stocks that are out there. So if people don't want to sell, like me and you, we don't want to sell, the price is just going to go up until somebody's willing to sell them.
Right.
And part of that whole thing on Tesla Daily, he did mention that they don't have to buy on one day. It's not the day they announce that they're included in the S&P, they have to go out and buy. The fund managers do have some leeway. They usually buy a month before, a month afterwards. They don't have to be exactly balanced because it wouldn't be fair to them. Everybody would jack up the price to 10 million a share.
Right.
So it's a really interesting day. No company has ever been in this position before because usually a company is a part of the S&P 400 and then they move to the 500s, and so the fund managers can take from the 400. This company had such a meteoric rise that they're not even part of the S&P 400. So they are, but they have to be included even though I think they're like the 12th largest company by market cap in the world right now. So balancing their stock price is very different from any companies that's ever come before. So it's pretty interesting to
Yeah,
see what will happen.
it's definitely an interesting time for Tesla. So I've done well across all three of my stocks today.
Nice.
And thanks to our conversation last week, I went and I just balanced my whole account. I said, you know what, I'm in way too many stocks. It goes against my principle of put all your eggs in one basket and guard that basket. And I evaluated the 20 stocks I was in, and I cut it down to three. I
Oh,
just cut it down to
wow.
three stocks. And I said, look,
Nice
these are my
job.
three. And Tesla made the cut. Believe it or not, Tesla made the cut.
That's awesome.
So
You won't regret that one. Yeah.
no, I've already seen the gain,
Yeah.
and like you said, long-term hold. So I'm very transparent with how I trade stocks, right? Like I don't want anybody doing what I'm doing, but 100%. I started this at the beginning of the year. I put 50,000 in, and right now I'm 10,000 up. So
Oh, nice job.
I'm at like 60,000 sitting in this account, and I've what do I got in here now? Tesla. It's $15,680 today. EXP, EXPI, right? The
Yeah.
real estate company I'm in. They're up to I did the same thing. I put 15,000, 15,000, 20,000. It like recently I just readjusted, reevaluated,
Gotcha.
and EXPI is up. They're up $1 today. So
Nice
that's
job.
so they're actually beating Tesla slightly in the timeline that I bought.
Okay. That's cool.
And then BRG,
What's their symbol?
they're
EXPI?
EXPI.
Okay.
And so when I bought them, I was down at $15. Now we're up to 17 something. We're up to 19,
EXPI, they're saying 19.44. Wow, nice job.
19.44. Yeah. So
That's the highest I've seen it. I mean, since I started watching because you joined.
same here. And in the entire decline of the market,
Yeah.
EXPI went up. So the
That's
decline
awesome.
started, they were like $8, and like they kept going up the entire time. Like you look at the trend, it's complete reverse.
Yeah.
So uh,
What's the third company?
the third company is BRG, Blue Rock
Oh
Capital,
yeah, of
Blue
course
Rock
it is. Of course
Residential
it
Growth
is.
REIT. Yeah, it's
Yeah.
my bigger company.
Nice job.
And I started buying that when it was down to, I think it was down to $3. It got stupid low, just way
Wow.
off the fundamentals.
Yeah,
And
that's
they
awesome.
just put out their quarterly report on how many rents they're taking in.
Mhm.
97% occupancy, paying rent. So,
Nice. Yeah, and that's
so
up again today too. That's awesome.
absolutely. So
Yeah.
like stocks, great. I was sitting with my mentor yesterday. I was sitting with Dave. We had a cigar, and we were talking about, and I think the stock market is a very similar situation. But we were talking about how there's an impending crash coming, right? There's an
Mhm.
impending crash coming for the real estate market. There's an impending crash coming for the stock market. This recession or this correction,
Maybe.
well, maybe, right? Maybe,
Yeah. Yeah.
but it was this was artificial. This was 100% artificial. This was pandemic related, and
Yep.
had nothing to do with the fundamentals of the stock market. Nothing to do with the fundamentals of the real estate market. We've been saying it the whole time. Yeah, everybody's been saying that fundamentally, like this shouldn't be happening. The stock market, like the country was doing good. The GDP was up, and
Yeah.
stock market was booming. And the only reason that it shifted was completely unrelated to the fundamentals. Like we've been saying it. Wow, like stocks are cheap. They're off the fundamentals. And even Tesla, we're like, it's way up. It's off the fundamentals, but temporarily.
Right.
And it's based on speculation. It's based on belief. And so we're talking about real estate. We're talking about why real estate is such a great investment and why it's such a dangerous investment when you over leverage. We're talking about leverage. Like it was ironic that was the chapter I was working on yesterday,
Yeah.
was how real estate can actually hurt you if you have the wrong property
So
manager.
if you're over leveraged, you mean, or
There's three ways. One, over leverage. Two, bad property management, not managing it properly. And then three, just was over leveraged, bad property management, and give me a sec. Hold on.
partner with a drug problem?
That'll do it. Bad partners. Bad partners. Let me see. Hold on. I was on a roll.
Yeah.
But so I remembered it last night, dude. I went to bed at 6 o'clock this morning. I was just killing
Oh,
it.
wow. Nice job. You were
Yeah.
working on your book the whole time?
Yes.
Wow. That's
Just
awesome.
banging out chapters. So I got to go back and make sure that everything looks good.
Right? I'm sure it does.
Well, we were talking about over leverage yesterday and
Yeah.
how he's got a saying. He says uh, it's like musical chairs. Everybody's running around the chairs, running around the chairs, running around the chairs, and if the music stops, you want to make sure you have a chair. And he
Right.
said, like right now, the music, kind of stopped, right? But he's like, I think that this was just fuel on the fire, right?
Right.
Like even though like real estate didn't stop, real estate didn't slow, like it paused, but it
Yeah.
didn't like even slow down. It was like we kinked the hose, and then the hose got unkinked, and it went faster and further than it did before.
Right.
And so, but we're seeing commercial lending tighten up. Right? We're seeing commercial lending put some rules into place. They're saying no to anything office. They're saying no to anything retail. Like I was talking to Tom, and he was saying that his banker, not his banker. No, I was actually with my banker yesterday, and he was saying that there's an email that went out. They were like, yeah, these companies we just don't lend to right now. Restaurants, right? Number one, like right at the top is like we don't do restaurants.
Oh, nice. Is that Keith Rose?
That was Keith,
Webster
right?
Bank?
Yep. So
Yeah,
that was
I've known Keith for a long time. Such a great guy.
yeah. So how did you know Keith?
Semper, he worked at Semper when I was doing closings for them. So yeah,
Yes,
nice guy.
he's he's been phenomenal with our portfolio. He's realistic with us, and basically the bank wants to lend, and he told me, he's like, look, the bank's got the doors open, they want to lend, and he's like, I'm not the only one. All the banks are doing this right now. Every commercial bank he's spoken to is, and he's got good relationships with all of them. He says that they're just very cautious, and on our way out of the bank, he's like, it's a lot like the fact that the bank has locked the door right now. They're requiring us to hit the buzzer if we want to come in, and we got to wear a mask. And the commercial requirements are about the same.
About the same. Yeah.
Like they're open for business, but if you could just do online banking, that'd be nice.
Yeah. I also, in a different area of lending, I was talking to Saeed, who was in your training program.
And the mentorship, yep.
Yep, mentorship. And so I was talking to him today because we're doing a closing for him. And thank you. Anyways,
Yes.
so
You're welcome.
he mentioned that he was using a company for hard money lending called Lending Home. And I said, wow, that's funny because my friend Diami out in California was using Lending Home also. And he mentioned that on fix and flips, Lending Home is going to give him like a $2 million line of credit as long as he can show that he's done. Well, I spoke to the guy from Lending Home after that. Yep. He says he's not really doing it for buy and hold people, but if you can show 5 flips that you've done, they will approve you. And the guy actually said that they're going to get to the point where they're going to approve buy and hold people like myself, but they're not there yet.
Right.
But it was great to have a conversation with him because they're loaning at like 8% on the hard money side. Yep. And even for a buy and hold, they will do a bridge loan and then put you into a final loan. So that's kind of cool. So I'm looking into it. They're licensed. They're not licensed in Rhode Island, but they are licensed in Massachusetts and Connecticut.
Yep.
So, for example, I wanted to buy 3 or 4 condos in Fall River, just for example. He showed me, how they would do that and what kind of a bridge loan they would do and all sorts of. It was really cool. So I said to the guy, there's a long way to get to this. I said to him, would you like to come on and talk to some of my partners' investors, because he meets with them every week, Zoom call, and are you allowed to do that? And he said he'd be more than happy to do that. So
nice. Yeah, I'd definitely like to either have him on this podcast or we grab put him on one of our other calls.
Yeah, I was
That'd be
thinking
huge.
maybe both. Maybe he
Yeah.
could talk with us, and then maybe he could just talk to all the Massachusetts investors and wholesalers you have, because it's
Yeah.
obviously, even though you may not get that higher status that Saeed's getting because he's got some experience, but you'd still be able to use them for the bridge loan and that type of stuff. And then maybe for the final loan, you turn them over to Keith Rose and you get the Webster Bank in there, or
Yep.
one of your other preferred lenders. Yeah. So that's cool.
I like it. So we got a good strategy where everybody makes money. Everybody's closing deals that make sense, and
Yeah.
makes sense is important, right? So with over leverage, it's you got to buy the deal right. There it is. Over
Yeah,
leverage
that's of course. Yeah, you make your money on when you buy.
on the purchase, and then making sure you manage your tenants properly. And the money side of hard money right now, I said this leaving the bank yesterday to Ron. I was like, dude, like nobody has an appetite to finance multifamilies right now, and everybody is okay with flips except for obviously the bank. The bank,
Right?
traditional bank doesn't want to do a flip, but hard money is okay with it. All of our lenders are going lower, cheaper, smaller down payments, lower interest rates. They're more
Right.
competitive with each other, and they seem to be encouraging and strongly backing the flip market right now.
Yeah, well, actually, Saeed said on the one that he's doing, uh, they're they're only requiring 10% down for him.
Absolutely.
It's amazing.
And it makes sense when you look at what they're competing with,
Yeah.
and because that's what everybody shifted to. Everybody shifted to hard money on single families, and
Yeah.
I think that the fundamentals are there for it. I think that the flips right now, we're flipping houses that I think if we held them for a year or two, we're probably worth maybe not double, but an additional 50% more. And this is what Dave was saying. It's like a fuel on the fire. Like, yes, the fire's gonna go out, but man, it's gonna flame right before it does. And this
So,
is
well, the funny thing is that if you talk like 6 or 8 months ago, they were afraid of the flips because they thought that you would buy the property, think you bought it right, and then it would drop in value, and you'd be left with a beautiful fixed place with granite countertops and stainless steel appliances, but the market had dropped, the bottom had dropped out of it, so you couldn't sell it.
right.
Um, but now it seems, based on what you're saying, that there's just such a lack of inventory out there that these banks are not afraid of the bottom dropping out of these properties because there's no inventory. Nobody's, so they're not going to lose their value, and you're going to be able to sell them.
And that's one of the pieces that, like, we're watching single family prices go up, right? Fundamentally, there's no reason for them not to. Yes, of course, there are people across the country who are in a troubled spot, right? Like you got hairstylists, you've got restaurant owners, you've got waitresses. But when we look at the people who buy houses, these are not those people, right? The people who buy houses tend to have more stable jobs. They tend to be out of those service industry jobs. And it's always been the doctors, the nurses, the engineers, the contractors, the plumbers, electricians, landscapers. These are the people who buy homes, right? Like
Right.
they're the workers who are necessary.
Right, and
And so
their jobs haven't been eliminated or furloughed or any of that stuff. So,
they're working
and
harder.
I'm seeing it in my practice. We're still closing refinances, which means that they're being approved by the banks
Yep.
because, yep, yes,
And when I look at the real estate investors that we work with, right? Like the people I have communicated with, because I always ask, what is your past? Where'd you come from? What was your job before this?
yeah,
And the answer is always very, very consistent. I'm sure you know what it is. They're either real estate agents, right? They're in the field all the time. They're contractors of some sort, and
contract is,
that spans a lot of them, right?
yep,
Electricians, plumbers,
yeah,
driveway guys, whatever. Like they're a
yeah,
contractor,
yeah,
and some attorneys, but engineers. It's a lot of highly paid people, and these guys are the ones in the trade, right? It's the tradesmen that own most of the real estate. It's always a story of, I used to be a plumber, I used to be an electrician, I used to,
Yeah.
I did driveways or roofs, or I built houses.
My dad was manufacturing, and on the side he was just picking up properties, but they were doing construction and doing store interiors, so he understood the numbers, because you had to do the numbers when you were setting up a Bloomingdale's or a Disney store or whatever, and then you just translate that to multifamily. It's not so far away.
It wasn't a big stretch for him, and
then at some point you become a developer. That's
right.
They call you that. You're a developer.
That's everybody in Boston is a developer already, right?
Right.
like by all standards, when I go to Boston, normally here, right? Like in our rooms in Rhode Island and in Southern Mass, the New Bedford Landlords Association, I'll go in and they're like, oh yeah, I'm a rehabber or I'm a landlord. You go to Boston, everybody's a freaking developer. At first I was like, oh shit, like damn, I'm in a different room. Like these guys are developers.
Yeah, right.
Haven't developed anything, right? Like, I haven't developed a goddamn thing. They're just a developer.
That's funny. That reminds me of Gary Vee when he talks about, they're either entrepreneurs or wantrepreneurs.
Entrepreneurs, yes.
Oh, that's good.
And
hey,
like
I was thinking of something. One area that I'm finding a lot of demand for, but I don't have the resource for it. So maybe if somebody's listening, or maybe Walter, is people are looking for second position loans for down payments. And that is an area that there's not a lot of people doing that. I mean, not
professionally, not institutionally, right? So institutional
money. Well, I mean,
it can be private.
It could be private, but I don't have the resource, I guess, for it at this point.
Right. So this is what I found is private money. When we raise private money, it typically comes from either the sale of property, or it comes from a high-paying job that has no connection to the investment world. So plumbers, contractors, electricians, not the place where you're going to raise private capital. It's going to be doctors, engineers, attorneys, it's chiropractors, because that's where they're making good money, but it's not from real estate, like even remotely from real estate. And they don't understand the asset. So they want to play, but they don't want to get their hands dirty. Whereas an electrician or a plumber, they want to play and they're fine with getting their hands dirty.
So I got to get back to Dan Zatowski then, because he was the one who was talking about calling high net. Well, we said we didn't need that. We said you went right online and found on Google how to get high net worth individuals so you can call them.
I still want to do Zan's class for the reason of, like, I teach a lot of people and you teach people, and I think that it's probably a good investment for us to learn the process 100%. If Dan has something that will speed it up for us, then I would much rather go through that.
So what is he doing? Is he doing some sort of program that's
He's got an online course. Everybody's got an online course, and
it's a funnel. It's a funnel. Watch out for that funnel.
We're going in.
So hacking. Do you know that when you go to like Six Flags, there's that one ride that looks like a giant toilet?
Dude, I got a story. I was dating a girl. She went through the vortex. She lost her bra.
That's funny.
And it was a situation.
Wow. Right in front of all those people. That's crazy.
The guy at the bottom who like pulls you out. He's like pulling her out. He's like, happens all the time. Don't worry, we'll find it.
I get a little frustrated when, like, I'm clicking online and someone says, there's this food that everybody eats, and actually instead of cutting fat, it gives you fat. And so this food is something that I'm going to tell you about in this short video. And you're like, oh, come on.
As soon as you hear that.
Yeah. Like, no, I just want to know what what is it? If it's a beetroot or whatever it is, just let me know, and I'll go away. And if I want to use your product, I'll use your product.
Instantly scroll to the bottom, right? It's like Scroll,
Uh,
scroll, scroll, scroll.
yeah,
No result. I got to pay for this course. Damn it.
yeah, exactly.
Yes, the world of
Yeah, I'll
will.
do Dan Zatowski with you. Let's do that.
I like it. So as soon as this book is finished,
Okay,
I may or may not regret having waited to do it because I do have a section on raising private capital in the book.
nice.
But
Um,
uh,
I was
yeah, man.
thinking with Dan Zatowski, what attracts me is that he's got two things. First of all, he was very, very successful, and he said he had all the toys and all the fancy cars. I think he's from like New Jersey or something like that. Is that right? I don't remember. But anyways,
He
the
might have been.
bottom line is, can't you picture that being a guy from like New Jersey driving around in his Lamborghini and all that kind of stuff? And at a certain point, he was like, this isn't satisfying. This isn't where I want to be in my life, and I want to skip that part. Like I don't want to go out and buy all these. I mean, maybe it's because I'm older, but I don't want to buy all these toys. I don't really have any need for it, but I would like to know the process, make the money, and then use that for things that are of value to me. Like for me, it's freedom and travel. That's where what I'm all about. I've lived in a couple of different countries, and I just love doing that, and I'd love to expose Brenda to that because she didn't do as much traveling as I've done. So I could skip that whole thing, but I feel like if you had someone like Dan who has crushed it, made millions and millions and millions, he knows the steps, and if your head's in the right place, then it's a great opportunity. So yeah. So,
Yeah, and I like what he said, how he just floats on a cloud, right? I like the word grind.
yeah.
I've been,
Right?
I was grinding last night. I was hustling.
Yeah. Yeah.
But he like, and words are very important, right? So in
Yeah.
neurolinguistic programming on the Saturdays, we're always talking about how the words are important we use, and I'm like guarding myself around the word grind now, because he was like, no man, don't grind. He's like,
Yeah.
don't grind. Like that's not good. You want to float.
That's
You want to
awesome.
float on the cloud,
It's
and
it's
just
so
everything happens.
It's so funny you say that because Brenda listens in the background, not on this one, but usually on Saturday she'll have it in the background when she's at home, and she always says that she agrees with 99.9 of what you're saying, but the one thing that she doesn't is that Esther Hicks, who she listens to, always says that it should be effortless,
Right.
that there's no grind, that,
Right.
that things just come. And I've noticed recently that the stuff that's made me money has been effortless. It's just you put it into the vortex, you say you want it, and then maybe you have to do some steps, but they're not. And actually, I find that when I'm grinding, it's taking me in the wrong direction. I'm going
Right.
to something that's not leading to money. And I think we probably said this on this podcast like 6 times. Over on the right, I'm grinding, and it's leading to nothing except for stress and misery. But meanwhile, on the left, because I'm left-handed, that's why left is the good side on this one. Things are just happening, like meeting you, doing this podcast, finding Tesla, investing in the East Greenwich property. They're all just kind of effortless. It's a magic place to be. So I totally agree. Watch that word grind, unless you want to. Some people like the struggle.
Right. I think that I was addicted to it, but I'm
Yeah,
very clear about was.
yeah, yeah,
and I think that you're right, and it's funny because I remember being young, being like I'd already bought my first house and thinking, wow, I gained a lot of equity from a simple decision. And
right.
it was, every time I bought a house, I was like, wow, like all my equity just came from this simple decision to do something.
That's awesome.
And I've noticed it over and over that we work so hard, but the biggest things that make me the most money have been the purchase of real estate. And they've been the
Yeah,
easiest things of the whole entire process was the purchase. And then putting management in place is far easier than me managing myself. And that one decision just freed up so much of my time.
so I've got married to a hard worker. She loves to work hard, but she's coming to the dark side because she's working just part-time for me in the office because we need the help because thank you God we're so busy. It's awesome. But I was looking at the amount, I was talking with her this morning about the amount of money she's making per week.
Yeah.
And we agreed that she could find one buy and hold for us.
Yep.
And because she's a realtor, she would get a commission on that purchase that would take care of 4 to 6 months of what she's getting paid here in one shot. Like you said, one decision. Maybe I'm not paying her enough, but
Well, no, I mean, and the point is, if you could find somebody else to do the work that she's doing,
yeah,
then you pay whatever. If she's willing to do the work, then you pay what the market rate will pay,
exactly.
and you push her towards something that pays better, right? Like, hey, babe, go do a flip. Let's go do this.
Yeah, but she's actually moved kind of like you. We got a cleaning person for the house. I told you several times before, she doesn't touch the lawnmower anymore.
Makes sense.
And I've noticed at home on the weekends, she's not as stressed because she's not cleaning the bathrooms. And I kept saying, can you cut that out? I mean, there's so much better time spent with your kids, or, I don't know, doing whatever you want. Read a book. Well, she loves to read. So
Drew Martin said he calls it minimum wage activities. And he got that from Marshall Silver, who's like the greatest hypnotist on the planet. And Marshall Silver trained one of my hypnotists, the guy who trained me, Mark Usick. And he says minimum wage activities. You got to remove them. You got to get rid of those minimum wage activities, MWAs.
It's also Gary Keller's The One Thing talks about that, because I think his specific example in The One Thing was about cleaning your house, that you can do a better job cleaning, but you got to give that away. And no
matter how good you do it, it's not going to make you money.
No. And she's worth a lot more than, the hourly
rate. There you go, Mike. Good job.
What was that?
Especially since, she understands that we don't make money in the grind, right? Somebody makes money in the grind. Somebody makes something in the grind. But the person who gets paid the most is the connector. Connect everybody.
That's kind of what you said is just so valuable, because it was kind of an epiphany while you were saying it. All you did was make a decision, right? And then you and Ron go and buy like the properties that you've got under contract right now. Those are just, all right, we looked at it. Yeah, we want it. That's the decision. And that's it. I mean, everything, you've got systems in place that everything is taken care of by other people. So really that's an amazing, that's worth the podcast today. It's just that one comment that you make all your money on one decision. And it's so appropriate because, I have Audible on in my car when I get into it. So whatever's on there from before, it just comes on. And today was Jen Sincero, You Are a Badass, just talking about how when you make a decision that all providence moves towards that, and things that didn't show up suddenly start showing up. And that's so true, because Brenda and I are sort of wrestling with a decision, and it's kind of like, I feel like there's no accidents. So when I get in the car, when we're wrestling about that, and I hear Jen Sincero say, you make a decision, and that's the end of it, and things will start happening in the right way. So yeah, it's cool.
So something I say all the time, successful people make decisions fast, and they change them never, right?
She said that in the thing today. She didn't say never, but she said decisions
Slowly,
fast, slowly. Yeah, that's so funny you said that. I swear to God, an hour ago, I was listening to that. There are really no accidents. I love.
I agree.
A lot of people go around with their head down, grinding, and they live with their five senses. But there's a much more exciting and inspirational world out there if you realize that there's, I don't know if magic is the best word, but there's magic going around that you don't see if you just use your five senses.
Alchemy, man. This must be alchemy.
Yeah. What's the bottom of that poster behind you say? What was that phrase at the bottom? Oh, it was a different poster.
It says, that one says turning leads into gold, and the other one is fast tracking retirement.
Yeah,
and
there was one, it says work smarter, not harder, or something like that.
The point is not to work, it's to generate income.
Oh, that is somebody, if you're looking for something, if you believe in tattoos, which I don't, you should that should be your tattoo.
That's what I told Ron when I wrote the book. I was like, dude, I want a phrase at the bottom there that people are going to tattoo on their bodies.
Yeah, really. That's crazy.
So not encouraging tattoos at all.
Dude,
but
that's your grind. People think they're supposed to be working hard and stuff like that, and it's almost like they feel guilty if they can be successful doing something that takes less of an effort. I mean, I think it's where we come from in New England, where came from Puritan ethic, and you're supposed to work, and then die. And that's just not the...
Sounds miserable.
It does. It's horrible.
I mean, I've done the work. I've done the work, and I've done the free time to self-develop, and free time to self-develop made way more money. You know what's crazy? I had a moment yesterday with my mentor, and I was sitting there with Dave, and right as I was about to leave, right? I was leaving, thanking for his time. We had a good conversation. And as I was leaving, he said, you know, you really got to start managing your own properties again. Because he's a property manager electrician by trade, then started a property management company. And then
he has like 400 properties, right?
So he manages 500 units, 200 of which are his own. And so he was saying, you know, I could have made more money on my own units if I had not always put my clients first. He's like, I'd send my guys over to fix their vacant unit before I'd fix my vacant unit. Yeah. And he had 4 run vacant for 10 years. And he's like, I didn't even notice. They just kept, oh, well, we'll get to those later. But what he was saying is you've got to really pay attention to the management. You've got to really, like, you're losing money right now. He's like, right now, and I know you're losing money because you used to manage yourself, right? Yeah. And like it's, in the paint cans that they go and buy another one, or it's the caulk, the tube of caulk that they buy, another box. And it's
that's a big pet peeve for Brenda is when they buy a bunch of supplies and then they don't.
They buy a drill and it ends up on the receipt, and it's like, come on, like why are you buying the tools? Right? That's my money. Why are you buying tools?
But I really liked it.
Right. So then he got into saying something, and he was telling me, because I told him, I was like, Dave, like, I get it. Like, I looked at the math. I pay her $75,000. Maybe my construction budget would go down. Maybe we're talking $80,000 to $90,000 I would save if I was managing myself. But I know myself. This is right now. It's 47 units. We're going to be up to 60 units by the end of next month, and I know myself. I ran a property management company that was 87 units, and I didn't have a life. Like, I didn't have a life, and I was taking all the calls. And my point to him was that, like, I make far more just on my agency side alone. I make far more just on the training company. And the training company is not even designed for profit. It's just fun for me. I love it. And it brings in leads for the real estate company. And so I'm like, yeah, but I make more money just doing what I love, just being in this space of love and joy and helping people. Yeah. And then, like, he was like, right, I get that. And I get where you're coming from. And he's like, and I found in my company that I make more, like the company runs better when I'm sitting here at the cigar shop.
That's awesome.
And I don't think that was his intent, because like he was looking to find the work. He was looking to find like the work. And that was like, so his space in life was, no, you do better when you work harder. But he actually came to the fact that his company runs better when he's sitting at the chair.
Yeah,
it truly does.
It's funny because I was going to say it's a difference between old school blue collar Fall River mentality, work hard, just work until you die, just like I said. And yours is more of I think it's really, if you get down to brass tacks, it's the difference between abundance and scarcity mindset. Because if you have an abundance mindset, you say, well, all right, maybe I do lose a paint can, or I have to pay for a drill. But really, in the abundance mindset, you're circulating money. You're giving other people, maybe that guy needed that drill. So you're helping the universe get something to someone else. Right. And in the end, it comes back to you in spades. And beyond that, when it comes to you, I was listening to Bigger Pockets one time, and one of the guys said, his time is worth $3,500 an hour.
Yep.
Okay. So so you have your training program, your real estate broker, your investor, all those things.
Yep.
I'm sure your time is probably worth like $3,500 an hour. And if you're doing a $75,000 a year job, you've got money going out the window like an open window with the air conditioning on. That's
I
just
did the math, and
yeah,
Mike, if I truly look at what I spend on the education company, aside from writing the book, right? Writing the book right now, that's building an asset. It's not something I'll have to do the rest of my life. But if I were to look at it, on Saturday I spend an hour,
yeah,
and on Monday again I spend an hour,
yeah,
and in that every week, I'll bring in, if I bring in 2 or 3 students, that's $2,000 to $3,000. I've worked for 2 hours to make $2,000 to $3,000. And that's
awesome.
literally just me enjoying myself, teaching a lesson that I love, helping people, and in a subject that I love. I could never help people in a different subject.
Right.
Maybe I could, but I love this one. I just love real estate. I love wealth building.
Yeah.
And this is without marketing. Like, once I start marketing, we'll be making $10,000 to $20,000 in a week from 2 hours worth of work.
That's
And
awesome.
so, yes, time is worth that.
Yeah, that's awesome. I mean,
And
I get that old school from my dad as well.
right.
He's always talking about working hard and this and that, da 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 da. And I almost have to just get off the phone because, I mean, that's how he succeeded. He worked his ass off, and so when
He
I say,
really succeeded when he bought those properties.
yeah,
That's
exactly,
where it was.
yeah, it's just the grind is where it's, yeah, it's gonna grind.
It was when he bought the properties, when he bought the stocks. That
Yeah,
was where the money was made,
yeah,
because you could take away all of his grind, and it was those purchases that
right.
actually made all the money.
And I think he's a
80/20.
lot like you, that he's addicted to the grind.
Yeah,
Because he could be completely retired. He has plenty of money, plenty of success, but when you call him, he's talking about these things that all the aggravation that he's dealing with. And I get off the phone and I go, he doesn't need to be doing any of this if he didn't want to. So I think he enjoys it. Yeah.
yeah,
And I think a lot, probably your mentor, he enjoys it too. I mean,
he does.
yeah,
And one of the reasons I chose him as a mentor, and I don't think he knows this. I mean, I've said it to him a couple of times, but I don't think he grasps it, is that he's a multimillionaire sitting from a chair in a cigar shop. Right? I told him this a couple of times. I've been like, Dave, like, the reason I chose you, because there are bigger guys. We're both, let's be clear, there are bigger
yeah,
guys than you.
yeah,
And like, the reason is your whole life is spent doing what you love. You're hanging out with your buddies all day, smoking a cigar, and you
yeah,
enjoy your life. This is your choice. Of all the choices, you're either here, you're on a golf course, or you're at a rock concert, or you're with your family.
yeah,
Like, this is how you chose to live, and you're doing it every single day.
yeah. That's just to go introspective. That's the way I feel about my life right now.
Right.
Like I don't know if I planned it. I've never been one of those people who's like a C who planned out everything, but I think I'm at a point where I enjoy what I do and I get to do a lot of what I do. And the things that I don't want to do have all sort of fallen away.
Yeah.
You're doing all these things and it's a real blessing to be in that stage. Hey,
It is.
I wanted to, there was a quote from Jen Sincero's at the beginning of one of her books, one of her chapters, and it says, so I wanted to read this to you because I've said it like twice this week. Most people tiptoe their way through life, hoping to make sure, to make it safe, hoping they make it safely to death. And it's true. There are people that go around and they don't take chances and they don't do the thing that they always wanted to do and they don't have fun with their life. They're just sort of tiptoeing because they're afraid that something
Yep.
bad is going to happen. And then, yeah, and then it's over. And what did you do?
What'd you accomplish? Like on the unfurl your soul part of life, what did you accomplish? And
Or
Warren
even,
Buffett says,
even the fun part of life. Did you enjoy your life? Like you worked and you had a job you didn't want to go to and you were miserable and all that kind of stuff so that you could retire. And then what did you say? The stat is people die 6 years after retirement. So what did
right.
you,
Yeah, like don't retire because it's deadly.
Right. My dad's got the right idea. He's gonna be working until he's 100.
That's the goal. Yeah, I
Yeah.
tell Doreen all the time, 150. And she's like, okay, like she just supported it 100%. She's like, yeah,
Yeah.
150.
She corrected me the other day because there was in one of the books I was reading, he said that in 100 years we'll all just be rotting corpses, which was pretty graphic. But Doreena's like, Gwelter and I are going to live to 150.
Yeah, like we're just going after it, and so
Okay.
what? We'll see if it works. And
Yeah.
people tell me, oh, I don't want to be 150. Like life's tough already. And it's like, dude, that's your perception of the world. I'm having a blast, right?
I know, exactly.
Like I'm actually important.
I set my goal for 120,
I like it.
but I would be willing to 10x it.
Yeah, right? Why not?
1200.
I set that
Awesome.
life goal based on a gentleman I was buying a house from, and I watched him running up the stairs. He was 84, 85.
Yeah.
And he's like managing his properties, no problem, going up and down stairs. And I asked him, I was like, what's the secret? He's like, well, I think the secret, honestly, is that I've always told people I was going to live to be 100. And so I just have always had to maintain that.
That's awesome.
And,
That's
he eats
awesome.
healthy, he exercises, and stays
Power
active.
of what you say.
Right.
I talk about affirmations all day long. We do, I read the book, The Miracle Morning, and he talks about affirmations and what you say over and over, how
Yeah.
that affects you. So if this guy says he's going to live to 100 all
Yeah.
the time, every day, it's going to happen. And the same with you at 150.
Exactly.
Yeah, you just keep affirming it. I write in my journal, like I try to do it every day. And my journal has sort of become an affirmation thing because there's like stuff that I write down over and over again every single day. And I see stuff coming to fruition. Stuff having to do with money, having to do with business, but just on a personal level, I say stuff. Brenda and I have an amazing relationship that gets better and better every day.
Absolutely.
So what's your relationship? What's going to happen to it if you're saying that to yourself every day and you're writing it down?
Yep. I say it to Doreen every night. I say, look, we fall deeper in love every day.
Nice.
Respect you more. I trust you more. And I say it, right? Like it's the intention. Set it out there. And
That's
look,
so awesome.
I'm not going to be in a bad position from saying that, right?
No way.
If anything, it just makes me happier. I'm like, you know what? That's true. Why not?
Why not? Exactly.
Right?
Right. Then you look back at all the failed relationships and
I never said this in the past.
you were
So
probably saying stuff in the past to create that.
I like being with you.
Yeah.
I don't mind it. I remember saying shit like that. That's not going to make it last. Let me tell you.
Yeah, exactly. See?
I got proof. And so, and by the way, like, share, subscribe, help spread the message. The life is good.
Share, subscribe.
Like, share, subscribe. So Warren Buffett is quoted for saying that he said, why, like, people go through jobs that they hate to go get another job that they hate to finally start the business that they love.
Love, right?
They go to college, they hate the thing they take. Then they go to work, they hate that job. Then they go up in a position, then they go up in a position, then they go to another company that they hate to finally get to the point where they can start the business that they love in their retirement. And then they say, I should have done this 20 years earlier. I should have done this 40 years earlier. And it's funny that, we're having this conversation because either I pulled this out of Dave yesterday or Dave pulled it out of me, but he shared this quote with me from the Dalai Lama. I'm going to read it to you now.
Oh, I was just about to say that. I've got a better quote from you from yesterday. That was amazing. I've heard that quote before, but that when you started talking about Warren Buffett, I was like, well, what about the quote you said yesterday? That stopped. I don't even look at Facebook very often during the day anymore, but for some reason it came up, which again is the universe, and that was just so awesome.
It was so powerful to me when he said it to me in the morning. I was like, man, like I gotta share this. Where is it? Hold on. Let me see. The Dalai Lama. So he said, when asked what surprised him most about humanity, he said, man, because he sacrifices his health in order to make money. Then he sacrifices money to recuperate his health. Then he is so anxious about the future that he does not enjoy the present. And the result being that he does not live in the present nor the future. And he lives as if he is never going to die, and then he dies having never really lived.
You have to put that in the show notes or whatever, because you have to read that one like 5 times to just let it sink in. So good.
Finally get it.
Or go to Walter's Facebook channel. It's on there.
There you go. Walter Murillo Facebook page. Go to waltermurillo.com. Learn more.
It's not a funnel.
It's not a funnel. It actually is not a funnel. And that's so our website is fundamentally wrong, right? When it comes to sales, everything about it is what we call a brand magnet. So it's designed just to make you happy to be there, right? Here's information. Here's information. Here's information.
Yeah.
And we do have one funnel that comes off of it, and that's the mentorship program. But you'd have to actually want mentorship, right? Like it's like you've got to be hunting for this thing.
That's awesome.
And it was a decision that Ron and I made early on. We just said, look, like I can sell. Like if I find somebody who it looks like they want it, I will sell it to them. I'll be 100% ethical in my sales pitch. I'll push hard if necessary, but I've got to get them in front of me and see if I like them first, right? Like bring them in. If they like what we've got to say, then there's a good chance that the sale will be easy anyway. Yeah. And I could put out, and so when we pay advertisement, we do paid advertisement, I do put them in a funnel. Absolutely. Like that's the first thing I'll do is drop them in a funnel. I got to get my money back for paying the ad. But the funnel at the end of it leads back to the website and says, hey, you paid something. Here's all the free stuff.
Nice.
Right.
Hey, before we move on, so after your Dalai Lama quote, of course, things started coming up on my computer having to do with the Dalai Lama. And so there was a guy who was interviewing the Dalai Lama, and he said, this is the corniest joke. He says, the Dalai Lama calls a pizza place and says, can I get one with everything?
Mike.
So terrible.
All right. So we'll have a section of the podcast where we just tell bad jokes.
Bad joke. So speaking of which, moving away from terrible jokes, if you do want to get more towards what the Dalai Lama was saying, I'm reading 2 books that I highly recommend. I just finished The Power of Now by Eckhart Tolle. It's not a business book. This is spiritual, being in the now, so that, you hear a lot of people say life is really passing by and things are going, and it's usually because people are living either in the past, which is depression, living the future, which is anxiety, and they're not living in the past, just like the Dalai Lama said in your quote. So The Power of Now really helps you get into the present. I'm probably going to read it like 10 or 15 more times easily. And then the other one is The Untethered Soul by Michael Singer, which after I finished The Power Now, I've been reading it, and it's a really amazing book. It's about the conversation that goes on in your head, the nonstop conversation. And why is that? Why do we have this conversation that goes on? It keeps us from being present. And I'm not doing it justice, but if you can sit as the watcher who's watching that conversation go on, you get to a certain point where you're more present. You're seeing, because it's kind of silly. He gives an example. Let's say I look out my window now and I see a bunch of trees and things like that, okay? Because in my parking lot, there's like woods back there.
Yep.
So you look at it and you see it. You see everything. You see all the details. You see the trunks. You see the leaves. You see all that stuff. But then for some reason, your brain has to then tell you what's out there. I see, if you get quiet, you can hear it. I see a tree, and then there's another tree next to it. So why? Michael Singer's like, why? Why do we have this nonstop dialogue that just goes off in our head all the time, and it never stops? He says, if you want to do an experiment, sit in the shower quietly and listen to all the crap that comes up in your head all the time, and it just keeps you from being present. And these 2 books are just, I would say, the most impact on my life I've ever had. The reason I say this is because I listened to The Untethered Soul on Audible already. So
I like it. I think we're building our spiritual foundational 5.
Yeah, that's right. We said that. I gave you 5, but you got it.
So
it's almost like, you say the broke to $250,000 would be The sixth one, you got to start with that one, or the first one.
Yep.
I feel like Hal Elrod's The Miracle Morning
Yeah.
would be that sixth book, because it's the book that gets you to read the other 5 books, and it's a good one. So like, yeah, number 0 is start with The Miracle Morning.
Book 0.
You know what I love is, I haven't done this in a while, but if you get into like a Facebook group of The Miracle Morning, people take pictures of what time they're up in the morning. They'll be like, they'll have their clock and they'll say like 3:45, I'm ready to go, you know?
That's awesome. Yeah,
it is awesome.
I'm going to sleep at the time they're waking up, but I have my miracle night. We operate differently, but it's the same.
He addresses that. He says there are some people who work third shift, or that's the way to do it. But as long as you're doing it on a daily basis, that's
I couldn't change it. Those 6 hours where nobody can touch me are the greatest 6 hours of my day. And Dorina knows it. Like, she has it too. Like at 9 o'clock, she is off limits till like 11.
Nice.
And I'm from 9 o'clock till like 3 o'clock. And
that's awesome.
But I nap during the day though. I'll tell my secret, right? I do nap.
That's awesome. When I was in law school, I got an apartment because a friend was doing me a favor while I was away. And he got me this apartment that was like a half hour away from the law school. But I had friends who were in undergrad. They just they lived right across the street from the law school, but they were undergrad Boston University, so they were partying all the time. And
not easy.
But so what I would do is I would wake up at 5:30 in the morning, knowing I had like my contracts class at like 9 a.m. Same thing. That time from like 5 or 5:30, it was so peaceful. There was no, I would say there was nobody up, but one of my buddies, roommates was, he was ROTC, he was doing training for military training.
Yep.
So he would get up, but he was like totally quiet, come back and do whatever he had to do. And it was just, sun was coming up, and I could just 4 solid hours, just crush my law school stuff and then be ready for the day. Yeah, it was awesome. I love that.
I love that, man. Like those are the pieces. Those are those points in life where you look back and say, that was the best time of my life. And how do I get more of that? I remember I have my Sundays. I'm completely committed to my vision, to spend time with the universe. Dorina was asking me last night before she went to bed, and I stayed up, right?
Yeah.
So before I tucked her in, nice guy I am. And she said,
that's awesome.
Actually, no. Oh my God. Okay. So my timeline's wrong. She woke me up at 7. So I took a nap at 5. I woke up at 7. She woke me up, and just to spend a little bit of time together. And what she said was she's reading a book now called Change Your Life or something like that. Really good book. I'll find out what the actual title is, but she's reading it. And said,
put it in the show notes.
It'll be in the show notes when this comes out. So similar to the Science of Getting Rich and Think and Grow Rich, and it's like kind of like that holistic approach. And what she said is that there's a point where there's 3 consciousnesses. There's the subconscious, the superconscious, and the conscious. And so conscious is what we're familiar with. Subconscious is what we know runs the programs in the back. And the superconscious is where you're connected to the universe and you get these flashes of truth, right? And Wallace D. Wattles talks about it as an experience of truth, an experience of what really is. And then Napoleon Hill calls it your true self, having those moments of just vividly aware of just following the universe and knowing what it is. And she asked me if I knew what that experience was. And I just laughed at her. I was like, oh my God, like that's what every Sunday is. I spend as many hours in that state as I can manage.
And what are you doing? Are you meditating, or what are you?
So it comes through meditation. And I stumbled upon it. Actually, I stumbled upon a cigar shop, which is really weird. But I was smoking a cigar, and I had this habit of like the guys would drink alcohol sometimes or soda. I would grab a Monster energy drink, right? I'd grab a Red Bull or an energy drink. And so as I'm smoking the cigar, my mind's widening up a little bit. And one day I had a drink with them, right? I just had a little Jameson with them, and I had the Red Bull already in my system. So I was amped up. The cigar is loosening me, and the alcohol just calm me down a little bit, just like open my mind a little bit.
Yeah.
And for about, I'd say 5 minutes, I just saw all the answers for that week. Like I just saw like, wow, I need to make that phone call. All this other stuff's garbage. This is all that matters. I've got to close that deal. I got to call Ron, tell him thank you. Like it was just like these
That's
couple little
perfect.
pieces,
Yeah.
and it was so clear. And I really figured it out when I was living in Vegas. I really figured out the meditation, how to do that naturally.
Yeah.
And it comes from completely exhausting my body. Like I'll work 16, 18 hours, not work, but just be awake,
Yeah.
loving life for a long period of time. Take a nap. And when I wake up, it's about 30 minutes of just absolute clarity.
Nice.
Because I went through the whole day, beat my mind up, and then woke up and it was just like fully rested, no alarm. And in those moments, absolute clarity. Just this is how things are going to go.
So I'm always talking to you about the Tesla YouTube channels, and there's one called Solving the Money Problem.
Love it.
So I think I mentioned he started doing some real estate, hated his job, did real estate, crushed it for 7 years, very successful. Then bought stocks and was doing financial planning and had lots of people asking him for advice. But he sold it all and moved to Argentina, and he was just traveling around South America by himself. And he said that he was trying to figure out what to do next. And he went to some like Mayan shaman program up in the mountains of Peru. And he
there were
said
mushrooms involved.
Yeah, exactly. I was going to say like peyote or something. And he said his whole focus was, what should I do next?
Yeah.
And he said that when he came out of it, it was to start the YouTube channel, like, which sounds crazy because you're up in the woods and all that. So, but it was clear as day, kind of like you with your Red Bull or your Monster with your thing, clear as day that he should start the channel. And he started it, and now he has like 110,000 followers.
Yep.
He's monetized it, and he has Patreon and all that kind of stuff. And he said it was as clear as day. So yeah,
that's
cool.
That's like the 10,000 units. It's like the REIT. And you were talking about the grind the other day, earlier.
Yeah.
And I often come to the awareness that I could already have started this. I often come to the awareness that I have enough units to justify my position. I can pick up a few more if I want. Like I can get to 100, 200 units, whatever my subconscious mind is saying I have to have personally before I can approach others.
Yeah.
And I can justify a larger position, because we're the general principal. We're the key putting it all together.
Right. Exactly.
So I don't even have to have units in order to justify this. And I'm in my head saying, why have I not started? And it's because I believe it has to be work.
Yeah.
I have in my head a process that I must follow first. Like I want to write this book, and I want to set up this company, and I want to do this other thing. But ultimately, like I already know, give me a year or two of just having conversations with the right people, and I could put this REIT together.
Yeah.
And so,
I don't even think a year or two.
Dude, I like 10 conversations with the 10 right people, right? I know a couple of guys who have 1,000 units. Like 10 conversations with the 10 right people, and this would be done already.
Yeah, and hand it off to the lawyers and just have the lawyers establish it, and you're on your way.
And that's the reality of it. And set up a good property management company, because that's really what it is at the end of the day. It's a management company. And like Dave's always telling me, you got to manage your own units. And I'm always telling him, I don't got enough units to justify me managing it, right? I can make a lot more not managing.
Yeah.
But 10,000 units, suddenly it makes a lot of sense to be deeply involved in the process of management.
Yeah. Or you're managing the manager and you have an amazing manager.
Managing the management company and just making sure that the culture is strong, making sure everybody's doing the right things and inspired and feeling good about what they're doing.
It reminds me about one of the Bigger Pockets episodes where a guy had properties and people kept coming to him because they were complaining about their property management. And so he started a property management because he was managing his own stuff. Yep. And at the time that I listened to Bigger Pockets, it was probably like 2 years ago, he had 13,000 properties in 5 states under management. And it was never his intention.
Right.
It was never his intention. And now he runs this in 5 states. 13,000, that's more than 10,000. So, yeah.
That's right. It's possible.
Yeah. So
Yeah,
we should get
I
on
see it,
that.
Mike. I see it. All we are is a property management company with an equity position. That's really all the REIT would be.
And I mean, you already know people who do this anyways, because you could talk to Brendan Kane, and
Yep. That's what he's doing with Peregrine, right?
yeah,
He's helping some investors make money by managing all the properties, helping
yeah,
them retire. And yeah, it's so funny, Mike. Like I see it. I see how we've acquired property
yeah,
with seller financing, a piece. Like if I told the owner, hey, do you still want a piece of the building, right? Do you want 10% still in
yeah,
this? They'd say yes. Yeah, like all day. Like if I said, hey, you're gonna get shares of the company, like they would so be fine with that.
yeah.
Um,
That's
and,
amazing. We
I mean, I
gotta we
know I
gotta
would.
work on getting my portfolio up to 200 so I can.
That's it.
So let's
And
work on that.
it's very easy, right, man? It's so easy. So people ask me, you've asked me, how do I get 50 units?
Yeah,
And I'm at a point where like I accidentally am gonna hit 50 units again this year,
yeah,
right?
exactly.
Like
So
we're just
maybe you can
going.
throw off a couple to me and I can get going, because I'm
Hey,
sick
by
of
the
being
way,
at, sick
we're,
of
we're
being
gonna
at 16.
yeah, 16 looks good on you.
Yeah,
So,
I mean, I can't complain. My money's been doing great
and you're in
elsewhere.
great locations, so I think your 16 count as 32. Let's just be real about it.
Yeah, although, yeah, although I wanted to buy some of those in Fall River, so
And so those condos,
yeah,
we just got one under agreement for 120
I saw that. So
with 3,000
I'm getting
back.
deep discount.
Yeah, you're doing the the closing on that. You're doing the P&S and the closing, right?
Yeah, yep. Brenda was
Right.
working on that yesterday. We also have, but I was saying for me personally, I was talking about buying a
I
few of those.
know, I know.
That's cool. I actually talked to that guy from Lending Home today about how that would be structured.
Yep.
So, because remember we had this whole thing where they're individuals. So if you go to a regular mortgage guy, you would have to do like an application for each, and it didn't necessarily work. Although I'm sure there are other people out there that could make, but these guys had a good program for doing that.
Really?
Yeah, it's awesome.
Like a portfolio loan, just put it together.
Uh, it was more like each one has its own purchase and sales, but they can use all your information for each, because they're not looking at your. It's like a no doc. It's not based on your financials. It's does the property cash flow, whatever, the
Right.
loan value, all that good stuff. So
Fundamentally doesn't make sense.
right, so it's more like a
Going forward.
commercial loan than it is a residential loan. So they're not looking at um, your income or any of that stuff.
Exactly. And that's the way to buy something like this. You want to
Yeah.
go commercial. Like Ron and we haven't done a residential loan in so long. I may do one this year, like an FHA for
Yeah.
myself. I got no houses in my own name. So
Yeah.
I may actually own or occupy a multifamily this year.
That's so awesome.
I probably should. The 3%
But hey,
down.
what
I can
about the
say
one
no.
you're at? Don't you own or occupy an FHA on that one?
This one is already in Amarillo Properties conventional mortgage.
Gotcha.
So it's no
Yeah.
longer in my name. It's already in a separate LLC. And this is actually the last that I own without Ron. So like I want to sell it. I'd rather sell this and not have any properties like outside of the partnership I have with Ron, just
Gotcha.
because he handles everything for me and I
Yeah.
like that.
Yeah, that's awesome.
So, good partnership.
Transfer it. There you go.
Yeah, Mike, this was a fun call. Like, share, subscribe. Go to gualtermelo.com, go /live. Check us out on Saturday. Saturday, we're going to be talking about how to model the most successful people in your business. Don't look at them as competitors. Look at them as your mentors, as your trainers, as people who are coaching you. In fact, pay your competitors to learn how to be as good as them so that one day you can add value to them. I'm not teaching my competition. I'm teaching my replacements. One day I want you getting your hands dirty. I want you bringing the money. I want you doing all of the finding of the deals. And I just want to be a part of it. I want to bring some capital to the game, maybe hold some paper. My end game, and every investor's end game, should be seller financing. I want to hold paper on the properties I've paid off, let you manage it. And I just want a little piece of the asset that I've built. And
What's that quote at the bottom of your banner again? It's not to work hard. What is it?
Point is not to work, it's to generate income. And
Yeah,
I
so if
think
you're sitting there seller financing. You're not working, you're just collecting 12% and points. So good.
That's right. And paying down that mortgage, I'm not like everybody else. I'm not paying the mortgage down. I'm letting my tenants do it.
Yeah, that's super. That is
And
super.
so lock up as many properties as you can, get property management in place, amortize those loans, and one day become the bank. That's the goal.
So good. So good. All right.
Mike, I got the book split up into 5 sections, 28 chapters, 5 sections. And the first one's mindset, the alchemist mindset. The next one's get the deal. The next one's get the money. The next one's get the deal, get the money, get the people. And then the last one is be the bank. And be the bank is like my favorite chapter. As I'm preparing to write it this week, I am the whole time just excited. So I want to be the bank so bad.
Yeah. Well, that's one of my affirmations I put down. Grant Cardone always talks about putting down his things, and his is, and mine is, I am a wildly successful banker.
Love it.
Boom.
Hold the notes, man. Hold the notes.
Yeah, and just in relation to your Saturday class, I don't know when you're putting this online, but the book of the week is Tim Ferriss' Tribe of Mentors, which is a nice sort of break because neither Walter nor I'm speaking for Walter, but we don't expect you to read this book cover to cover.
No.
Because Tribe of Mentors is more like an encyclopedia of all these successful people. So I think you can take a person that inspires you and read what they did. Pretty amazing book, and it's on order from Amazon for me. So.
Nice.
Yeah.
It's on order from Amazon for me too.
Nice.
I think order it now.
When I went to New York, we went to the Wax Museum with my kids, and they were all running up to like movie stars and things like that. And I just remembered I wanted a picture with Ted Turner because they had a wax of Ted Turner. I always loved the businessman. I'm sure now it would be like Elon Musk, same idea.
Nope.
But yeah, so whoever inspires you. Yeah.
When I was at the Hollywood Squares, I got the selfie with Les Brown. So it's
awesome.
It was the only one I wanted a selfie with. Everybody else was like, I don't know these people, but this guy changed my life. So
it's weird how things change because I would like to not the wax statues, but I would like to meet Ed Milet. I would like to meet Elon Musk. That would be huge. So those would be cool.
Yeah. I got Ed Milet on my Dream 100. So I'm watching his stuff, liking his posts, sharing, subscribing. So
did he respond to you? You sent me something where he said thanks, Walter, or something like that.
Yes. So that was on Instagram.
Yeah.
So it's working, and
is that his VA in Philippines or something?
I don't know. I don't know. Here's what I'm gonna say: is it's more if it's just a VA, I've gotten the gatekeeper.
Yeah, exactly.
And so,
nice job. No, when I got that text from you, I was like, whoa, that is so awesome. We're on our way.
That's it, man. It's out in the universe. It's unstoppable now.
I want to sit in one of his chairs in Laguna Beach and talk about what made me the holistic attorney.
I love it. And so the holistic attorney is setting it out into the vortex.
Yeah.
Mike, sign us off. What is your saying?
Okay, so my saying is massive income from passive income and holistic attorney.
When you have a choice, always work with the best. Cheers to your success.
Peace.
And we'll see you on the next one. This is 100 Millionaires.
Yeah, awesome.